Well, there was a 4-year-old named Matthew. Somebody's already laughing. A 4-year-old named Matthew who scared his family one summer by disappearing during their lakeside vacation. And more than a dozen relatives searched the forest and shoreline, and everyone was relieved when his mother found him playing calmly in the woods. "Listen to me, Matthew," his mother said sharply. "From now on, when you want to go someplace, you tell Mommy first, okay?" And Matthew thought about that for a moment and said, "Okay, Disney World." Therefore, they want to go to Disney World. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. And today, it's been a while since I've shared a Jesus story from the Bible. And so I just felt compelled to share this story about Jesus' mom. It's one of my favorites, and how it relates to the power of love. So here's the story. There was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. And when the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you and to me? My hour has not yet come." And his mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now standing there were 6 stone water jars, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. And Jesus said to them, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. And when the steward tasted the water that had become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." And Jesus did this, the first of his signs in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Jesus is someone you want to have at a party. All right, so let's give some background of this story. So in the days of Jesus, a wedding was the most important social event there was, and it was lavishly celebrated. Weddings often lasted as long as a week. So they entailed having abundant food and drink flowing constantly. Doesn't that sound like fun? All right, so the guest actually provided the food and drink. And how this was made available followed with great etiquette. So the older guests presented their food and wine first, and then the younger followed in descending order. When Jesus, Mary, and his disciples arrived at the wedding, it was apparently late in the week, and the food and wine were running low. So if the food or drink ran out, it would be an embarrassment, almost to the point of a disgrace. And extending generous hospitality was an honor in the Jewish tradition. So when they arrived at the wedding, Jesus' mom is the one that notices the wine is out, and she tells Jesus. So Jesus did not embrace her concerns at all. Remember, as he said, "Woman, what concern is that to you and me? My hour has not yet come." And one might think Jesus was being a little snarky and dismissive, but actually, what that meant to him was that his position in the descending order to provide food and wine had not yet arrived. So if he stepped in before his time, he would have broken protocol and the standard etiquette that was required. It would be inappropriate for him to step in and become the steward of the feast before it was his time. But notice this didn't faze his mother. She just went ahead and instructed the servants to do whatever Jesus asked them to do. Talk to the hand. So metaphysically, let's kind of dive in, because this is where stories, I think, are fun in the Bible, because we're going to look beyond the literal. So Jesus' mom, Mary, in this story, Mary always represents love, guided by intuition. And intuition is divine wisdom. And she saw the bigger picture that the wedding was about to fall apart, and so she saw what needed to be done. So with love, the primary attribute of the divine feminine, which is simply the nurturing, giving, and compassionate dimension of all of us, not just women. It's all of us. We all have the divine feminine. When it grounds itself in wisdom, it has infinite power. It calls us to express fully what we are. It calls us to see, love grounded in wisdom calls us to see beyond our fears and our doubts and to move forward with clarity and confidence. I love intuition, our divine wisdom. When we follow that, we truly can move forward confidently, knowing what's ours to do. So this act at the wedding of Cana was the first activity of Jesus' ministry, and he was still getting his footing. And so according to the biblical story, remember, he had just been baptized in the wilderness and had that experience of being tempted 3 times, remember? Okay, and here he was being asked to perform a miracle. Okay, so what's a miracle? Is it something that we can't explain? Actually, it's just an outpicturing of infinite possibilities. And we call it a miracle because we haven't yet claimed our infinite divine nature. See, a miracle is just the demonstration of our inner knowing out here. Right? Okay. And have you ever noticed that it can often take someone some nudging with great love, grounded in wisdom, who sees beyond what we fear and our limitations, not to be moved, to say, come on, Sheryl, you can do it. Come on, Al. Come on, Jennifer. Yeah, again, talk to the hand. You can tell me all day long what you're doubting, your fears and insecurities, but what I know what you are and what you can do. And so Mary saw that potential in her son. Her assertiveness expressed the power of her knowing. And I love that when someone holds knowing. And that's what I love about our prayer chaplains. Your prayer chaplains, those beautiful beings that have the purple stoles that pray with you after service every week, have gone through a rigorous training just to call forth what they already know is true of each of you, of me. And they will pray and they will hold knowing with you. That's what I'm talking about. It's love grounded in wisdom. And given today as Mother's Day, I imagine that many of you may have had a mother that was like that, who loved you and was grounded in wisdom and supported you. Maybe you did not have a mom like that. It's okay, there could have been someone that stepped in to be that role for you. Many of us have had mentors and teachers or ministers, clergy or therapists or counselors or really, really precious friends or other relatives hold knowing with us. And, today is my first Mother's Day without my mom. And so I'm really kind of feeling that ouch. And so I was thinking this morning as I was going over this message, there was another family member in my family, and I don't know if I've shared her with you. I couldn't remember. She was my wild Aunt Estelle. Estelle's kind of a southern name. And she was my great aunt, and my mother loved her too as her aunt. And my Aunt Estelle was just a hoot. And she lived at the beach, and every year we would vacation at the beach because we had some extended cousins who had a home at Sunset Beach in North Carolina. And we used to go to Sunset Beach when there were only 10 houses on the whole island. And we used to go out on the sandbars and click our feet up, and just our feet would be covered in sand dollars. But my Aunt Estelle used to take me out swimming because I was a fish when I was a little girl. And she used to take me out, like my mother would go, we were very far out. And we would, just kind of roll and tread water and swim. And I just remember we would have these deep conversations out in the ocean. And she would just tell me about the power of love. Of course, she always wanted me to have a boyfriend. I don't care how old I was. You need to meet you a boy. But she was married 4 times. Yeah, she was. But I just remember her today. I remember my mom, and I also remember my Aunt Estelle. Because she stood in her vibrancy for life and her love for me. She said, I just love you so much. She would just send me little notes in the mail. I love you. This is what we're celebrating today. If it was your mom, if it was your actual birth mom, if it was an adoptive mom, if it was someone that was like a mom to you, if it was a teacher again, someone in your life, today we are celebrating those people who have seen you and loved you and stood in there knowing about you regardless of whatever came out of your mouth. And so metaphysically, when Jesus transformed the water into wine, water symbolizes our ability to be cleansed and transformed. And wine means spiritual life. I'm going to remember that. Wine means spiritual life. But really, when our spiritual life tank feels a little low, let us remember that we can cleanse our thinking. We can cleanse, we can shift our attitude, our way of being, our way of approaching something, and instead claim our love. Claim the love that we are, the wisdom that we are. Because this story tells us that all of what we perceive to be as our needs will be filled just in time. I love that. So just in time, the water was turned into wine just when it needed to be. Because truly everything in our life is in a perfect flow. As we trust, as we claim and know. And I love that Jesus in this story modeled being called up by love to express his greatness. And so we too can deepen our knowing of what we are and can express our infinite natures more fully as we practice being willing to cleanse our thinking in the midst of fear and doubt and let our spiritual tanks get refilled. We can allow love's wisdom to guide us. So this week, I'm just going to invite you, or today, since today is Mother's Day, I'm just going to invite you to bring to your heart, like we did in meditation, who has stood for you? Who has loved you? Because they just knew that they knew that they knew the truth of who you are. And to thank them, to love them, express their gratitude, whether they're here on this planet or not. That appreciation, I know, is communicated and felt. And let's do the same for someone else. Let's let Mother's Day be a call, folks, for us to be that stand for someone. Whether it's a stranger, whether it's someone in our life that's just being asked to be seen, to be loved no matter what. That call is really loud right now in our world. And so I just invite us to allow Mother's Day to inspire us to let love, grounded in wisdom, to be our way. And allow that love, wherever you're feeling some fear or doubt in your own life, just allow yourself to tune into your wisdom to guide you. Let it be your compass. Because truly, folks, there's nothing more powerful than love grounded in wisdom. Nothing. So let's affirm together. I allow love to call me into my next great expression of infinite possibilities. And so it is. Amen.